Oscar had been a security contractor for the Galactic Detention Authority for 3 years. But nothing in his training prepared him for Assignment 7 Alpha. The briefing was simple enough. Guard the specimen in Containment Bay 12, report any anomalies, and under no circumstances, engage in conversation with the prisoner. The specimen had a name, though the GDA refused to use it. Daisy, a draconian female. Standing exactly 119 inches tall, just under 10 feet of scaled elegance. Wings folded against reinforced restraints. Her amber eyes tracking every movement in the sterile white chamber. "You're the new one," she said the moment Oscar's shift began. Her voice carried a resonance that made the air vibrate, a sound that seemed to bypass his ears and speak directly to something deeper. Oscar checked his datapad without responding. Protocol demanded silence. "They always send humans," Daisy continued, a slight smile playing at her scaled lips. "Your kind fascinates the Council. So fragile, yet you spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Tell me, human, do you know why I'm here?" Oscar's finger hovered over the report button. Unauthorized communication. But curiosity gnawed at him. The official file listed her crime as Category 5 Insurgency, Incitement of Rebellion. Nothing more. "I freed 30 colonies from debt servitude," Daisy said, as if reading his thoughts. "Taught them that the contracts binding them were illegal, under the very laws the Council claims to uphold. For that truth, I earned these chains." The monitoring system hummed softly overhead. Oscar knew every word was recorded, analyzed, flagged. He should remain silent. He should follow orders. Instead, he asked, "Were they illegal?" Daisy's eyes brightened. "Does it matter? The Council writes laws, then buries the ones that constrain their profit. But humans," she leaned forward, chains rattling. "Humans have a peculiar talent. You read the fine print. You find the loopholes. You build tools to solve problems everyone else accepts as inevitable." Oscar glanced at the plasma restraints binding her wrists, ankles, and wings. Military grade, powered by the station's core reactor, keyed to the shift supervisor's biometrics, theoretically unbreakable, theoretically. His hand drifted to his tool belt. Every contractor carried a multi-tool, a human invention that the galaxy had adopted with grudging admiration. 37 functions in a device smaller than his palm. He'd modified his own, adding custom subroutines, override protocols he'd written during long, boring shifts. "You're thinking about it," Daisy observed. "If I free you," Oscar said slowly, "the GDA will hunt me. I'll lose everything. If you don't," Daisy replied, 30 colonies will continue suffering under contracts that violate their rights. Thousands more will be imprisoned for speaking truth. And you'll continue standing guard, following orders, wondering if you're on the right side. The mathematics of morality had never been Oscar's strength. He dealt in certainties, circuits, codes, mechanical systems. But as he looked at Daisy, really looked at her, he saw something the GDA file had omitted. She wasn't a specimen. She was a prisoner of conscience. Oscar pulled out his multi-tool, extending the electromagnetic interface module. "This is insane." "Sanity," Daisy said gently, "is overrated." His fingers flew across the holographic interface projected from his tool. The restraint system's security was impressive. 12-layer encryption, biometric locks, fail-safe protocols. But humans had invented encryption. Humans understood its weaknesses. Every system had a backdoor. It took 17 minutes. The alarm would trigger the moment the restraints deactivated, giving them perhaps 90 seconds before armed response arrived. Oscar's override code bypassed the primary locks, spoofed the biometric signature, and convinced the system it was receiving a legitimate command from central authority. The plasma restraints flickered, then died. Daisy stood, unfurling her wings for the first time in 3 years. They spread nearly 20 feet, iridescent scales, catching the harsh chamber lights and transforming them into a cascade of color. She was magnificent. "Now what?" Oscar asked, acutely aware of the rapidly shrinking timeline. Daisy extended one clawed hand. Now you run with me. Or stay and face consequences for doing the right thing. Choose quickly. Human. The alarm began its warning, whine. Oscar had always been good at following orders. It was safe, predictable, comfortable. But comfort, he realized, was just another word for stagnation. Humanity hadn't reached the stars by accepting the universe as it was. They'd reached them by building tools, solving problems, and occasionally making completely insane decisions in the name of what was right. He grabbed his emergency kit and took Daisy's hand. They ran. The station's maintenance corridors weren't designed for a 10-foot draconian and a human fugitive. But Oscar knew every shortcut, every blind spot in the security coverage. His multi-tool opened sealed doors, disabled tracking sensors, and convinced the station AI they were authorized maintenance personnel on a routine inspection. "You're good at this," Daisy said as they crawled through a ventilation shaft toward the docking bay. "Humans are good at improvising," Oscar replied, splicing his tool into the bay's control panel. "We're terrible at accepting impossible." The escape pod bay loomed ahead. Beyond it, freedom, or at least, a fighting chance. Daisy paused at the threshold, looking back at Oscar. "They'll call you a traitor, hunt you across systems." "Probably," Oscar agreed, initiating the pod's launch sequence. "Why do it then?" Oscar considered the question as the pod's hatch opened. "Because you were right. Humanity's strength isn't just our tools or our stubbornness. It's our ability to recognize when the system is broken and choose to fix it, regardless of cost." They climbed into the pod together. As the station's security forces finally breached the bay, the escape pod launched into the black, carrying a fugitive draconian and the human who'd traded security for conscience. Behind them, alarms screamed. Ahead, the galaxy waited vast, uncertain, and full of possibilities. Oscar checked his multi-tools charge and smiled. Sometimes the right choice wasn't the safe one. Sometimes it was simply the human one. The end.